There are heaps of pelvic floor tools out there, and it can be really hard to know which one to choose. A pelvic floor tool is a really good idea if you're not achieving your goals from doing your pelvic floor exercises alone. So I'm going to take you through all of my favourite pelvic floor tools and why I might recommend each and every one of them. All the tools out there don't suit every person, and it's important to find the right tool to suit your goal. So I'm going to start with the Kegel8. The Kegel8 is a neuromuscular stimulator. It's available for both men and women, and there are heaps of different types of neuromuscular stimulators out there. My favourite is the Kegel8 because it's really simple to use. The program is really straightforward to follow, and it details all of the different programs, the goals you're going to achieve from trying the different programs. You can also custom make your own program, so if one of them isn't suiting you perfectly or you have a very particular goal, you or your physiotherapist can custom make you a program to follow. So a neuromuscular stimulator, we choose a neuromuscular stim when there is a problem between the nerve and the muscle connection. So ordinarily, when we ask the pelvic floor to contract, a signal is sent from the brain along the spinal cord out through the nerves to the muscle. And again, when we want to relax, we send a second signal along that same pathway. Now, if there's been an injury of any sort, so if we take childbirth, for example, where when the baby's head is through the birth canal, there's a lot of neural compression, there's a lot of overstretch. There might even be some tearing or a cut. So that trauma can mean the nerve is not responding to the impulse that we're sending. The clinical guidelines recommend that on pelvic floor examination, if you have a strength of 2 out of 5 or below, then you really should use a neuromuscular stimulator to get you to the next level. A contraction of 2 out of 5 means that you're not generating a big enough impulse. You're not recruiting enough muscle fibres to get the close and the lift, which is essential for continence and pelvic floor function. On our scale of 0 to 5, we go from 0, which is complete inhibition, there's nothing going on at all, and that's in the presence of a severe neurological condition or compromise. 1 is a flicker, so an inconsistent contraction. And 2 is there's a contraction, but it's not strong enough to create a lift, and it may be that all the pelvic floor is working at a different level. So if you're not 1 or 2, a neurotrack's a really good idea. You might also want to try a neurotrack if you're a 3 out of 5, which is a good, well-rounded contraction, but still not achieving that lift, to try and recruit an extra muscle, the extra 10, 20, 30, 40%, which isn't working right now, to help you achieve that lift and get you to a 4 out of 5 power. So the Kegel8, this is what it looks like. So it comes in its own little box, which is quite nice to travel with, and it's a really small portable case like this. All of the programs are already set up inside, and there's 2 really handy booklets. So the first is just 2 pages, and the chart on the front takes you through all the indications for use. So there's things on here which are pelvic floor exercises, progression of your pelvic floor exercises, treatment of overactive bladder, mixed incontinence, and even pelvic floor relaxation. So it's split into really helpful sections. On the inside, it gives you a little bit more information about why you might choose one of those programs over another and how the progression is for you. To select your program, we have the Kegel8 on, and the screen's really easy to read. And we just press the PRG, so that's the program, and that takes us up through the programs. So I'm going to take it to P03, and P03 is weekly maintenance of pelvic floor strength. Now when I turn it off, and back on again, next time I'm going to use it, it's going to come back on PO3 for me. We're then going to set up a probe. So there's heaps of different probes that you can choose from, and the Kegel8 website is brilliant for this. It can be quite a scary place when you start to look, but the biggest thing that I use that section of the website for is if someone has a very specific weakness or a prolapse. You'll find that some of the probes, it's recommended not to use in the presence of prolapse, but prolapse can be one of the conditions which would really benefit from the Kegel8. So this is my favourite one, it's the gold vaginal probe, because it's pretty much flat. So if there is a prolapse, it can be used even in the presence. You'll see that the probe plates are either side, and so the flat portion will sit in the vaginal canal, and the muscles will be connected through the metal plates on the outside, so it's sitting within the vaginal canal like this. All of the wires are obviously on the outside of the body, and it connects really easily to the top of the machine. If you've never used a TENS machine or a muscle stimulator, it's a good idea to try it in your hand first of all, just to get an awareness of what that sensation is going to be like. So the sensation is described as pins and needles, a strong but comfortable sensation. And the intensity you're aiming for is to keep in that boundary or get used to that sensation. So as you get comfortable, see if you can creep it up. It's a strong but comfortable sensation. You want to just take that to the point where it stays in that category for you. So once you've inserted the probe, make sure you use lots of lubricant, because that means that you're going to get the greatest amount of contact between the probe and the muscles. You start to press the plus arrow. As soon as you start to press the plus arrow, the program will start. Now, most of the programs are intermittent or interval. That means that it may stimulate for 6 seconds and it may rest for 5-6 seconds, and then it will come back on again. So if you don't feel it straight away, don't be alarmed. You may be on a rest phase. Keep increasing the intensity. In my experience, women start to feel the intensity from 25 to 35. So slowly creep it up. Make sure you always press the up arrow when you're on an on phase and not on a rest phase, so you don't get a shock. When you can start to feel the pins and needles and the tingling, just stay there for a few rounds, and then slowly over time use the plus arrow to increase. Use both guides to work out when it's time to progress to a different program. And the idea is to use the Kegel8 like you would any other strengthening program, so 3 to 5 times a week. There are a few rules with the Kegel8. So it's not great in pregnancy, it's just not been tested, so it's not recommended to use in pregnancy. If you have no sensation, it's also not recommended, because you may put it up too high for what your body is going to be okay with, and you won't be aware of that sensation or that feeling. It's also not great if there is a history of vaginismus or vulvodynia or painful pelvic floor syndromes. Now, I say it's not great. It can be used and it can be hugely valuable, but I wouldn't go straight to the probe. Instead, inside your pack comes electrical stimulation pads for the outside of the body. And you can use the relaxation setting and these external pads to just calm down the muscle spasm which is going on. The pads will go on your lower back, can go along your bottom, and even into the lower thigh and lower tummy. You can use the relaxation setting to just calm that spasm down, and then you can move on to using the internal probe. But I wouldn't start with a probe in the presence of painful pelvic floor conditions. Very happy to answer any questions that you might have, working out if this is the right tool for you. And I'll be taking you through various other tools through this series.